Welcome. Welcome. Om Namaste. It's a pleasure to speak these words. This new ultimate revelation is as it is, and how it shall come is as it is, how it shall come. Consciousness, let me share with you these words first. This is the words that came. And it's a kind of farewell words from the speaker. Maybe not this body, maybe not this person, but this speaker. And a very sorrowful revelation, a very anyway, these are the words that came. You will never find, one will never find truth in movement. And these words make perfectly sense, make perfect sense to the one who has experienced that, you see, experienced that statement. You are one, whatever you are, will not find the truth that you are within movement, through movement, looking in a moving way. So emotions are moving. You won't find truth through emotions. You won't find truth through anything that is temporary and is moving. Let me explain how these words came. Consciousness, which we all know, well, which some know, some have maybe experienced this totality. Consciousness is the only thing that exists and is infinitely nothing, beyond nothing. You see, before consciousness gave birth to itself in a moving way, it was absolute stillness. You can use the word black. Nothing, you see. No thing or one to hear to identify the differences between black and white and man and woman and space and stars and all these stuff. These stuff was born when consciousness gave birth to itself, but it's the birth that this revelation came. The birth is the most important part, you see. It's the same in any human being's life, the birth of their newborn child, the birth of their new breath, which happens every moment, the birth of their new thought that happens every moment. We as humans are experiencing spewing birth, constant birth, in all shapes, forms, sizes, timescales. Totality is just a spewing machine of birth. This is consciousness when it gave birth to itself. But the birth it gave to itself, and science have been trying to find this out looking at this Big Bang theory, which comes very close, but it's not that, you see. Consciousness in its dark state. Something happened to give it an idea, a thought. Life. I want to experience life, myself, life in myself, as myself. This thought, however it happened within itself, a powerful force. You have to picture nothing there before, nothing happening. Just something happened within this stillness, this permanent, non-moving, non-living entity that had somewhere it crossed on this infinite mirror within itself. It saw itself in one moment. Now this explosion from stillness to movement is how they describe this Big Bang. But what is wrong, you see, with the description of the Big Bang is that it appears to be still moving. Because from this Big Bang the universe came, and spaceships, planets and stars and whatever is up there or in here appears to still be moving, you see. With stillness, in its infinite moment of life, that was so explosive. And everything comes back to the act of sex. When that orgasm comes, and it appears to, from stillness to, and science says everything grounds, you see. The universe is within this grounding state. It's constantly moving. It's constantly circulating. It's constantly giving life. It's constantly all of these things, you see. And that's truth. You see, that is part of truth. But what this revelation is saying is, when this one moment came, in no time, you see, so quick that it into movement and then froze. It froze. It is returned immediately to stillness. And the only difference between what it was before and what it is now is it appears to be expanding. But it's not, you see. It's not expanding. Because it still has the after effect of the movement within it, like a shudder. Like the earthquake comes, you hear the explosion, and for days sometimes, everything shudders. So the shuddering is not really taking place. The shuddering is simply a memory of the movement. So consciousness has a thought, I want to be alive. In one moment it experiences life, and then it remains with the memory of being alive. How does this affect you? The movement, which happens in so fast a time, is infinite life. Is billions of centuries, billions of experiences, billions of infinite possibilities within itself happened in one moment. Now the moving moment, the explosion, before it became still, is also experiencing the stillness within it that it becomes, you see, because there's no separation. Everything is happening within itself. There's no separation, you see. So that's why mind and time find it totally difficult to understand. But the movement is now in the stillness, and the stillness is in the movement. So the moving part is centuries and centuries of this. And we think it's happening in time. But it's like the movie director, right? The movie director is walking down the street one day and he sees something totally unusual. And it's maybe this person flying or paragliding. And it just flashes in front of him. Wow. And within the flashing of this paragliding figure in front of him, it creates so many ideas, so many thoughts, so many ways, so many ways of trying to understand what took place. He makes 100 movies out of it. But to make the 100 movies, he needs characters, he needs props, he needs all these things. So all of life happened in one fleeting moment. But the movie director of mind came in and slowed everything down and put it in stages and periods. Now you as the body, you are the effect. You see? The body is the props. The body is the props. The director is consciousness itself, but it has not really got any idea of what is taking place. It is reliant on the human body, the vessel, and a brain to give signals of thoughts back and forward. So consciousness can give you a thought in the brain, and the brain says, you know what, I'd like to try something totally new. I want to experience swimming underwater. Well, simple things. Consciousness gets the message back, and swimming underwater can take place. So there's a two-way antenna, consciousness in your brain. You will never find truth in movement because you're not really experiencing the stillness that you were before and the stillness that you need to become. But you don't need to become it because you can continue coming back in body after body and form after form in no time. You see? In a more spiritual way, you're living out billions of lives in your body in many places, in many ways, in many forms right now. It's just that you're choosing, or the director is choosing to show you this one. This is your movie for today. This body that you've got today, this is the movie that's going to last maybe 60 years, but it took 1 second, 1 nanosecond. And you've been in another 100 bodies, but it also took a nanosecond at exactly the same time as this body is being lived. So all these are theories of parallel universes and parallel and simultaneous microfiche lives happening. It's what the truth is. But that's not the truth, you see. You have to, something within your nature, not you the mind, not you the person, something within your nature realizes that the movie has been played so many times that you're all movied out. And there is a call from stillness. And it appears that through many videos that the speakers made in gurus and past, this inward way is to return to the stillness as it was before. But everything is complete circle, you see. Stillness, movement, stillness. Stillness, movement, stillness. You don't return, even though you go inward, to that original stillness of blackness. You move to this new still, vibrating, but still, eternal newness. Because consciousness giving birth to itself for one moment. What is the point? To see yourself for one moment, even though it lasts for billions and billions of centuries and billions of planets and universes and wherever consciousness stretches limitlessly to. There has to be something at the end. And the end is same stillness, but a much more beautiful place to be. Where memories of what took place on all these centuries and planets and bodies and nature and forms and formlessness and space and time can be either returned to through a mind. Everything is through mind, you see. Because consciousness in its blackness has never moved. It was an idea from something when it saw its mirror of itself. That's me. and then a dream of what me is, or me could be, or me wants to be, or me will be. There is no organization structure from this consciousness, this Big Bang. But through this mysterious way of creating things in one nano moment of time, which has remained. It cannot go anywhere, this one moment, you see, because it's within consciousness. Everything is happening within consciousness. That's a problem we have as human beings, because we think it happens in simultaneously sequential ways, and therefore there's one at the beginning and one at the end. No, the beginning is the end and the end is the beginning, you see, and the one in the middle is the beginning and the end. Yeah? And the end and the beginning is the middle. It's a very straightforward, very simple act. And the Big Bang Theory is a reflection of one of the experiences within the movement. There are billions of Big Bangs in one explosion within consciousness. We happen to be here to acknowledge that we are a moving form, and that we have a mind, and that we want to give birth. We want to experience this explosion through an orgasm, or through some sort of love, shock, impact, awakening, enlightenment. Something that goes from here to there in one moment, 1 nanosecond. That is why U.G. Krishnamurti and the speaker always agree in one thing. There was a shock through this process of trying to entice some sort of experience on. And this shock removed all other shocks, including the shock to return to the same place as before the shock, which is the same place as the shock and after the shock. Stillness, movement, stillness, moving stillness. It puts the theory of this God, life, paradise. But when you remove the names, there's just simply consciousness of God, godliness. God is an imagined thing, a form, another way, another particle of movement within the movement. It's so difficult to explain, but this one single movement in no time, but in time, because it has to be measured because it's moving. But it's the object of you being in a body, is you can return into this body as from the movie director and continue, but this body has to become the vessel to get you back, or to get you free from this explosion. All of this that takes place is an explosion, a dance. Some see it as a traumatic experience life. Some see it as a beautiful, blissful experience. Explosions come in many forms. They come in orgasms, but they also come with dynamite. You have to use your body, or one body. And maybe when this body goes, in 1,000 years' time, there may be some IT ways, which is happening right now, parallel, that you can say, well, oh, I remember this from somewhere. I'm going to use this body. What is taking place? You see, there is no you, me, and I. There is simply a vessel that you own, and it's your body. And you have taken birth in this vessel so that you can find your way home out of this movie, out of this bang, out of this explosion. I'm not trying to scare you, because it could be an explosion of love for you. It could be an explosion of suffering. Every state that will ever be experienced, including the state of enlightenment and awakening, is experienced in movement. When you go through enlightenment and you allow enlightenment to pass, you meet the door to stillness, moving stillness. You have returned home for one moment, absolutely excited to get back there. But for some reason, you have to return in a body. And the reason I can only say is to share these words. It matters not about this body or anybody, as long as you find a vessel to get you home. You are a thought, yeah? And thoughts come through this body. And the body also is a thought, because they're all part of the initial thought that consciousness had when it saw itself in the mirror and it reflected and deflected. Imagine some colossal force seeing itself in a mirror for the first time, not knowing what it is, and the shock, and then freezing in stillness. And nothing happening, no grounding like they say about the ink theory on the wall, the ink has to eventually come down. No, it froze. The shudder that we experience in this stillness, in this moving stillness, is a memory, a remembrance, a recollection of what we were part of. We won't remember individually what we were, but we will be able to share what we were through the thoughts that remain in this moving stillness from the initial thought that consciousness had. Consciousness comes up with one thought. You are it, consciousness. You become the thought, and you create thousands of other thoughts within this moving state of this explosion. You try and find your way out. You see, we're all trying to find our way out. Our way out doesn't mean to say we have to escape this body life. Our way out means, how can we find something nice in our life? How can we do this? How can we do that? How can we share things? That's a way out, you see. It's a way of projecting out and experiencing out. Your consciousness is finding out about itself through your brain, and you're finding yourself out through consciousness giving you feedback on your brain. There is no person. If you think you're a person and you can let go, and you say, I'm letting go, I want to let go, I want to find consciousness, I want to find this stillness, this movement, I want to go home. No. The thought of letting go has to find itself, using your body and vessel through a mind, or no mind, to say it's time to let go. You're not in control of anything. The thought of moving a hand is coming through here. That's not my hand. I'm not moving my hand. The thought of movement is moving, experiencing itself. All of this is billions of thoughts experiencing themselves. A body thought experiencing itself. A speaking thought experience itself. Experiencing speaking, or talking, experiencing talking. How do you expect to be able to get out of this with no body? But how do you expect to find your way out of this? By knowing or by following something, an organized explosion. It's not an organized explosion. You have to seek stillness. You will never find truth. One will never find truth in movement. How to be completely still? Deny your body. Deny anything that moves. I'm not that. I'm not that. I'm not that. I'm not this. I'm not that. I'm not that. You don't have to do anything physical. You can lie down like Ramana did, or this speaker did, and lie down for days. Sit in the forest like Christ or Buddha. They all experience the same thing, a profound, profound, profound place that awaits us all. And it's here now, but you need a body to find it. It's okay if you don't, you can come back in more bodies. Reincarnation is not an existing thing. Because how can you be reincarnated when you're living every single life out parallelly at the same moment? Reincarnation means one goes, another one comes. Comings and goings are a beautiful, for this one, explosion. Before this one found this moving stillness, it was a torturous explosion, a depressive explosion. Every state describes this explosion. For you, the individual. For you, that thought that is coming through your body right now. Use this body well by refusing to involve it. Refuse the body an involvement in anything. That doesn't mean you say, I'm going to stop moving my hands, You have to let the body slow down. Because to get to stillness, everything has to slow down. See? That's why meditation is a way of moving towards stillness. Inward, outward, same thing. Same thing. Inward to get outward. Outward to get inward. Same result. Consciousness. I wanted to share that because it is a very wrong thing to do, is to explain the truth. But it's the right thing to do to explain how to find the truth. And the reason it's a wrong thing to do is, I love you all. So through love, something inside says, you're not gaining anything. This speaker gains nothing. There is no financial reward or some recognition on some sort of stage, because that cannot be part of this. You see, there's one single speaker here with no intent, with no need to gain, except to say, if I truly loved you, if I truly was here and the stillness meant anything to this thought that comes through, then you must understand these words and listen to these words and become these words. That's all you need to know. Use this body well. Experience, experience, explosion, explosion, explosion. Till something inside says, you know what? I'm not going to be an actor anymore. I don't want to be a prop. I don't want to be part of this society that UG speaks about. Wherever you are and whatever century you are, because time is of no use when you experience this. And it's of no use as a human either. It's just another thought that consciousness says. They wanted time. I'll give them time. So be careful what you wish for, you see. You may not personally experience what you wish for, but consciousness will give it. This movement is over, but it's not. You see, how can it be over? We're here. When the movement goes, if it ever goes, because it did go, because it went into stillness, stillness to stillness. I mean, I want to do it again. Imagine this darkness, just total black. And then suddenly, something stirs. Something looks and sees the most unbelievable, most profound, beautiful thing in one moment, and the shock. And then frozen to death. But this frozen to death is trembling with love at the, wow, did I just see that? So consciousness is not out here to create anything except birth. Through one birth, and this is the Bible, through one birth, one thought, one birth of itself, created billions and billions and billions and billions and countless infinite births in a single. Your sperm for the men, when it explodes, it finds an egg, and this egg it rests in, and it doesn't move. It is an experience of this new stillness. And if the baby is allowed to be born with no mind, with no conditioned ways, it experiences it that for the rest of its life. But it cannot, you see, because it has to experience its own explosion. That's the reason we are in a vessel as humans, to experience our own explosion. What is the point of looking for stillness when we are still happy, meditating and oh yes, wow, great, That is the ideal world. That was probably consciousness. I'm not using probabilities, but that's the ideal world to the human mind, that we can all remain here. You see, we've set up camp here. We like this moving world. We're not going to move from here. And each one of us are controlled by the ones. No, you can, you can't sit there. Go do something. Move. Keep moving. All moving. Keep moving. And the idea is that we don't want this to end, but it will never end. You see, the moving part. You can continue to come here for thousands and thousands and thousands of bodies, and if that's fine, that's fine. But the minute you move into this deep, profound stillness, you're home. And you'll not want to come into another body when you experience this. The end of the shock, you see, or the realization, because the movement of consciousness and the shock, seeing itself, the movement until it freezes. And then it says, wow. I hope this makes some sense, because it's a very simple and profound way of explaining the truth. And the truth is that, you see, the truth is only consciousness exists. It is a still state, a moving state, and a completely profound, pure, still, unmoving state. Sorry, a moving state. A moving state, it starts with an unmoving state, into a moving state, and to still moving. So the two have combined, you see. The consciousness thought, the shock, is combined to create paradise, where you can remember anything you want, but not as a human, as pure love, as pure stillness. Everything, you don't appear in the movie anymore. You simply witness it. Whatever you are, witnesses stillness through your still eyes, through stillness. Nothing moving, you see. Something spectacular takes place. So, many may look at this and watch this and say, yeah, another freaky way of trying to describe something that is indescribable. And it is, it's indescribable, and it's a freaky way. But it's a freaky world, you see. In the moving world, nothing remains the same. Every day something changes. You see the same picture for 5 days, and every day you see something different within that picture. In the moving world, you have to be moving, you see. Not control the moving, because the minute you try and control anything, you'll not find a stillness, because you're going against this simple act, you see. If we, as humans, were to come onto this earth like this newborn baby, and just sit down and strap ourselves in, and do nothing, instantly, other side, But we've set up camp, you see. We like this. We like this hunting, and we like this enjoyment, this explosion, and it's impossible for us to avoid, you see. No one can be a monk from the minute they're born into the first body as to being a monk into the minute they've experienced home in the final body. Maybe 100 bodies. You can't remain like that forever. You're in a moving world. Enlightenment, or true enlightenment, is this one moment reveals itself in 3 aspects, and it happens in that space of time where you're witnessed to everything, simultaneous parallel universes on top of each other, cascading, birth, cascading, never death. Everything recycling in this middle state. And then suddenly something, it stops. And you feel like you're going home to die in the dark. you're taken into this profound, still light. And you know, it's like being home, but it's different. It's better. It has to be. You've been born in so many bodies. You've experienced regressive states, pictures of things that has never been seen by human minds that you could not explain, draw, or anything because it's so quick. But you cannot not know everything. And to know everything means to return into this human body. This knowing has to be dissected. But some is allowed to be shared. The rest, wordless, speechless. All of this human world is entertainment. It's part of a movie. I am part of the movie. Today I'm playing a part in the act of the movie. How to share an experience, how to share enlightenment, how to share consciousness, how to look good on film. But in reality, there is no actors, no actresses, no props, no stages. They all merge into one whole, still, motionless, but moving through memory, through recollection, recollection, recollection. Instead of birth, recollect, recollect, recollect. This may be what they call in some of these biblical books about judgment and regressing your life and whatever like that, but it's not like that, you see. We're not one body, we're one thought, experiencing billions of thoughts. All these thoughts return to the same thought. I am life. It went from a question to an answer. I am life. I am life. And I'm going to end with these words. I am life. That's all. That's the only thing that you can recognize that as being true. You cannot say you are anything else. You can, but it'll fluctuate. It'll change. I am consciousness. I am life. I am that. That is. What is? The simple things that are not non-explanatory to an individual person or non-explanatory to anything else individual outside of you is the truth. I hope you enjoy some of these videos, and I don't think these revelations are of any use to anyone else unless you experience it, and that's fine. And that's fine. It matters not if no one really gets anything from this. In fact, it's better if you don't. But use your body well. Experience stillness, even if it's in a meditative state. To experience stillness, you have to remove everything that is moving. The understanding of anything that moves. Until the point comes that only breath remains, and even that slows down for a moment. And gone. Gone. But where can one go? Where can I go, you see? Ramana's last words before taking his last breath. Where can I go? Whether I am still, whether I am moving, or while I am deep, profound, conscious, still life, or lifeless, I am always contained within consciousness. As a mirror reflection of everything that exists, and a mirror reflection of nothing that exists. I am both, I am that. I am life. Never gone. Never not here. The most profound sense are experienced when you use this body and merge with this profound, saintly, still silence that is within you, waiting. Home. Take me home. I love you all, profoundly, deeply, and we may meet again. Namaste.